All right. Hello, everyone. Noon just struck the clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Feel free to pop a hello in the chat and let us know where you're watching or what your business name is, because we'd love to chat with you guys. But we're just going to go ahead and get started so I don't take up all of Alyssa's time to present. First off, huge shout out to Center for Rule of Affairs for sponsoring all our monthly webinar trainings. Without them, none of this would be possible. Little backstory about Center for Rule of Affairs is it's a 40-year-old national nonprofit organization based in Lyons, Nebraska that strives to create vibrant rural communities, social and economic justice, environmental stewardship, and genuine opportunity for all while engaging people in decisions that affect the quality of their lives and the future of their communities. The center initially engaged decision makers through policy and continues to do so while also investing in small and emerging businesses through REAP lending programs. Sorry for stuttering, but feel free to check out cfra.org for more information about them and the great stuff that they do. Our featured sponsor is Signature Performance, so a huge shout out to them. And our featured member for this month is L2 for Kids, and they joined Grow Nebraska in 2018. So we're going on about 5 years with them, and they do a lot of cool fundraising things for kids in school. So definitely check out what they do and what their mission is. And this week's presenter is Alyssa Wyant. With Pin and Post. And actually for this topic specifically, we're going to be doing a little series. So this is Facebook 101, and then we're going to hopefully dive into how to check out Facebook analytics. We don't have a set date yet, but that will be coming up in the upcoming months. So I'll stop my screen share so you can take over.
Can you see that okay, Zoe?
Yes, I can.
All right. Well, thank you so much. My name is Alyssa Wyant, as Zoe said. Today I'll be talking about Facebook, hence the title, Facebook 101. Zoe and I looked at this prior to make sure my screen was working, and she just kind of chuckled at the uncomplicating the complicated in the corner of the presentation, because that seems to be true because Facebook is ever changing. It seems like right when we start to understand it, everything changes and they rework it into something else. So this is the start of what Zoe said is a series. We'll be going over really just the basics to understand the basic framework of running Facebook ads for your business. We'll dive into the different ad options, the different calls to action, all of that. We'll be doing that today. But if at any point in the presentation you have questions, please feel free to make this as conversational as you'd like. You're welcome to hop off mute. You're welcome to drop a question in the Q&A. Zoe will be monitoring that as we go through, so feel free at any point you want to do that. I'm happy to take questions at any time. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's see. All right. Before we jump into Facebook, I just wanted to introduce myself, maybe talk about why I'm qualified to even be talking about this. But like I said, my name's Alyssa. I'm the owner of a company called Pen and Post. I opened this about 2 years ago now, and it's been really great to be able to help small businesses with things like social media, running digital ads. I do copywriting, all sorts of different things. I also do just like overall business analysis, as well as digital and print marketing, and kind of a variety of other things. I've held a lot of positions in the past that have led me to this career. I work full-time as a director of online student recruitment at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And prior to that, I worked at UNK running their online division. So I also work in special ed, and I was doing a lot of the marketing and business related things in those entities as well. So with that, it allowed me to teach an actual social media class to college students, teaching them not only the history of social media, but how we use social media in today's world and how it's evolved over time. So I have a lot of experience. I taught that class for about 8 years. And so now I feel like I kind of know the ropes of not only being on the history side of teaching this class, but also as a marketer actually running the ads. So it's been fun to watch it evolve, but it doesn't come with challenges as everything else does. So I will jump right in. So we talk about a lot of the times that like some of the biggest questions I get asked is why would I want to advertise on Facebook versus another social media platform? And a lot of times we look at marketing and try to decide where maybe we can get the best bang for our buck. Social media advertising is some of the cheapest and the most effective marketing that we can do as business owners. In fact, some cases it's shown that Facebook is 7 times more cheaper than other social platforms, specifically in relation to Twitter. Um, so it's the next most affordable media channel, but along with that is the audience size. When we take a look at the audience size, there's 1.13 billion daily active users. And this is a really important piece that I want to make sure everybody hears. There's 1.3 billion that are actually utilizing mobile. So the majority of those users are on their mobile phones. So making sure that we're optimized in mobile, I think is huge anymore, not only with social media ads that we're serving, but I would also encourage any business owner to take advantage of optimizing their website to make sure that it's optimized to mobile as well, because we know that that's easy, that's in their hands now. So that's something that we need to do. Another large selling point of advertising on Facebook is the time that's actually spent on Facebook. On average, users are spending 50 minutes just on Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger. So those 3 platforms are key. Facebook actually owns all of those entities. In case you didn't know, the Messenger is obviously part of Facebook. That's the app that opens up when you message back and forth with individuals. But Instagram was obtained by Facebook a few years ago. So now when we run ads, we can run them simultaneously on both platforms, which has been really nice. We're also able to manage those platforms directly from the business suite. So just something to think about as you're maybe questioning why you should do that. Finally, another big selling point, and this has been a big one for me as I advertise in different locations, trying to get students to come either maybe online from different states, from different regions of the country. But also, I also relate this back to maybe selling a product as a small business owner. If we're trying to narrow down just in our local communities of what we're wanting to sell, the biggest selling point for Facebook and advertising that on Facebook is the location. So through Facebook, we're able to target down by demographic, age, gender, interests, behaviors, and so much more. So one of the stories that I always love to tell my students when I taught this social media class was about a husband proposing. This man and this woman were both individuals that were on Facebook. They kind of did what I do. They worked with Facebook advertising to target individuals. He actually was able to drill down to Facebook so much that he was able to target his now wife via a Facebook ad and asked her to marry him. So that's how specific we can get with Facebook ads. That seems a little crazy to me. I personally wouldn't want to be proposed to by a Facebook ad, but it's amazing. And I think just tells the testament of how much that it can be targeted and drilled down to for audiences. Now, these 4 reasons that I have up on the screen aren't just why maybe you would want to use this. Other reasons we have, obviously, it's effective and efficient. It's easy to track. We have analytics, which that will be another part of the series that we talked about. Immediate traffic. There's very little anymore that we can have immediate traffic. Digital advertising is about it. When we look at print advertising, it takes a while to actually get that in someone's physical hands. We also have complete control over the budget and the max cost per click. And instant ROI. So we're seeing instantaneously those clicks coming and being able to have an effective ad within minutes of it publishing. The other is just the ability to reach people early in the buying process when they're looking at purchasing a product, especially with something that's of a higher price point. It's key to reach them early on in the buying process to start developing that mindset, that marketing mindset that we want them to have early on so we can continue to build on that. That was huge. Now that I'm in higher education, that's where I've been for the last 10 years. So getting them early on the buying process is key. It's even more key when we're selling products that they're instantaneously able to make a buying decision. That could be a $25 product that you're selling out of your storefront. But that's how important it is to be early on in the buying process in the forefront of the consumer's mind. So the other thing I mentioned that it's cheaper, cost per click. So every time your ad is being clicked is relatively cheap. We're looking at on an average 61 cents per click for cost per click over the whole all of the marketers that are on there running the ads. On average, they're paying about 61 cents per click. So let's move in to the types of ad objectives. This is probably the biggest concept to grasp about Facebook ads is the types of objectives that are available to you and what they actually mean. There are 6 types, including awareness, traffic, engagement, leads, app promotion, and sales. Now, I will tell you right up front, I don't use all of these. And you'll see why. I think as we kind of look through all the different options, we'll see why maybe we don't use them, why some are used more than others, and so on. So the first is awareness. Awareness ads are great. If you're wanting to show your ads to people who are most likely to remember them, an awareness ad is what you want. This is typically used for things like brand awareness or video views. We don't see this for selling products. We don't see this for collecting leads. We really see it more as an awareness piece that a person would just be trying to get maybe a new business out and running an ad saying there's a new business in town, please stop by. I would be thinking of things like that when I'm using a brand awareness ad. The next is leads. For collecting leads, lead ad objectives are just that. They're utilized to collect leads for your business or your brand. And this objective is really good for things like instant forms, messages, calls, signups for events, those types of things that would enable you as a business to be able to call back on the other end and be able to ask that user if they had any questions about X event or X product. Those are really good to collect that information. The instant forms we'll look at later on in the presentation, so don't get too hung up by that. I will show you an example of what that looks like. Traffic objectives are really utilized to send people to a certain destination. It's just kind of what's in the name. A lot of times they send them to like a website, an app, or a Facebook event. This objective is really good for link clicks, landing pages, anything you're really trying to drive traffic to, where you might have more content that a consumer would want to read through. The next one is app promotion. This is probably the one that I have the least amount of experience with. In fact, I don't know if I've ever used it because I don't do a lot of app promoting. This is really to find new people to install an application, so like an app on your phone or computer, and continue to use it. So they would encourage you to install or maybe continue to use that app. It's really good for obviously app installs or app events if there's an event within an application. This is probably, again, the least used one from my perspective. I think people at Adobe or Word or elsewhere would probably tend to disagree. They probably use this quite often just because they are web-based and that app installation is everything to their business model. The next is engagement. Engagement ads are really to get more video views, page likes, or event responses. This objective is really good for messages, video views, or post engagement. If we just want the interaction from consumers, this is the ad objective that we would use. And I think it's really important in this context that I mentioned that anymore Facebook, any social media has become a pay to play. We're seeing higher engagements for those individuals and businesses that are willing to pay for post engagements or video views or messages. We are not seeing as much engagement for those that aren't. And that's just, again, the way the business model works. So the sales objective is probably one I feel like that I have used the most. they're utilized by businesses to find people that are most likely to purchase your product or service. This objection is good for conversions, catalog sales, messages. With conversions and with most ads, the way that you can set something up on Facebook, and this is a really deep dive, but the fun thing that I've experienced with this is being able to set up a conversion where you're able to see a user come in on Facebook, purchase your product, and actually it will count as a conversion. So you won't only just get the views of the ad, the clicks of the ad, but you'll also see that conversion simultaneously. So you'll almost see the full consumer life cycle within that ad. Okay, so then we move on to what I feel is like our second biggest concept that we want to grab today, and that's the type of ads that they offer. There's a variety of different types of ads that include image, video, carousel, instant experience, lead, slideshow, stories, messenger, and collections. So don't be overwhelmed. We're going to break these down one by one. And during this, I'll show you an example of what that specific ad would look like to a consumer. Most likely you've seen almost every single one of these. I think there was only a couple that I haven't seen very many of. So the first one is the image ad. Image ads are probably the most basic and maybe what you're most familiar with as a consumer. So this ad utilizes just a single image to promote a brand or a product or service. They can be utilized across all different types of ad types, placements, and aspect ratios. So we can see them on different platforms. But this is probably the most common that you're seeing across the board. The next is a video ad. Again, a very common thing that we're seeing in today's marketing. Video ads are similar to image ads, just replacing that image with a video. Typically, we see these as consumers when business want to show us maybe like a demo or a tutorial or showcase some kind of a moving element that was within their business. Maybe they want to show you how something works. They want to show you what to do with a certain product. All of those different things are great for video ads. And a couple of years ago, Facebook changed it. So now when you're scrolling, those videos are automatically playing. You no longer have to actually click the play button. So just a fun fact of how it's evolved from actually having to hit play to now just automatically playing as you scroll. So a great way to think of a carousel ad is a photo album. Carousel ads can fit up to 10 images or videos that can actually be clicked through. Each holds its own description, headline, or link that it wants to link to, and it's typically used to display a series of different products. So a good example of this would be, we've got Father's Day coming up. This would be one where if you have a ton of gifts for dad that you want to put in here, you could put that, but also another great thing that I think you could do is completely different products. If you're just wanting to say, hey, here's what we offer at Grow Nebraska, then you could put a variety of businesses in there. I'm gonna check the chat. Oh, that was Zoe. Yes, feel free to pop any questions in the chat. I just saw Zoe's webinar chat, so just wanted to make sure that I'm paying attention to that as they come in too. Zoe, make sure to stop me if we do have questions. Feel free to stop me at any time. Okay. So the next one is, oopsie, hold on. There we go. The instant experience ad have previously been known as Canvas ads. So if you're familiar with a Canvas ad, you have experienced the instant experience ads. They're only utilized for mobile, and typically they display a series of different products. So to me, this is really similar if you've ever seen like a blogger utilize the platform Like to Know It, as it lets the user kind of engaged and like thumb through the content themselves, but it's all put together in a collection in a way that they can experience it. Okay, we do have a question in the chat. Do you know how people are making ads show up in Facebook Marketplace? So Amanda, you might have to clarify this for me. Right now, if you post on a business page, there is an auto setting that's automatically posting to Marketplace. I don't know if that's what you're referring to, or if you're referring to an actual like sponsored ad. And that may be the sales objective is kind of what I'm thinking that may be an option in the sales objective when you're looking at like an actual app in Facebook Marketplace. But feel free to clarify that and we can look at that too. So okay, we talked about instant ads. The next one, it would be collection. Collections are very similar to a carousel ad. And again, they're only utilized via mobile. So Facebook has developed just those certain types of ads that are only specific to mobile. And they've done this because of all the mobile users that they have. The majority of them are getting on mobile. So they've made these customized experiences just for mobile users. But these ads allow for more, if you want to think like a window shopping experience where, again, you can flick through kind of the product lineup, similar to what we saw in like a simple carousel ad, but users are able to purchase products directly from the collection ad itself. So I would say that's the difference between that and the instant experience. They can still purchase it, but they're able to click the shop now button right here and go through and actually purchase the product or whatever the case is of what they're selling. The next one is a lead ad, and this is probably one of my favorite ads because I've seen how effective it can be for businesses. However, I think something really cautious that businesses need to be aware of is just making sure that the leads that they're getting from these are of quality. They're not junk leads. So making sure that you've got somebody on the other end, either calling or reaching out to these individuals that are filling out these forms, I think is really key. So lead ads are great for generating leads for all businesses. Again, this is only a mobile enabled ad that's specifically designed to make it easier for users to have their contact information submitted to a business while typing literally as little information as possible. So we will look at the ad. This is what it would look like. We would see something that would like say subscribe or learn more or contact now. Whatever that call to action would be, they would click it. This would pop up. This actually pops up from your Facebook profile. So it would pop up whatever name you have associated with your Facebook profile, which hopefully that would be yours, along with your email. Sometimes they do have phone number where you can submit. I believe this is pretty customizable for what your business would be. But of course, the shorter we can keep any of those types of forms, the better return on investment you're going to have, just because the user doesn't have to do as much. You're going to get more done if they don't have to do as much on their end. When they hit submit, their information gets sent to the business. I'm going to stop quick. We've got a question. Okay, Amanda, we were just going back to that Facebook Marketplace. Amanda just said, I think that answers it. I've just seen more recurring ads in Marketplace when I'm looking at items for sale. And yeah, you will see that because if a business posts, or even on a group, if they post something that's saying, I don't know, for like a third party, like an MLM, if they're saying that they are posting like Zaya shorts for sale or something, that will actually post up. If they make a post in that, they actually have to go in and manually remove it from the marketplace. Otherwise, it automatically posts that they've got that for sale. I'm not really sure why. Sometimes I think Facebook does things to be helpful, and sometimes it's just really not as helpful as they think it is. But I can see for some businesses that would be something helpful for that auto posting. The next is a slideshow. Slideshow ads are almost a mixture of like a carousel and video put together. So it's about 3 to 10 images or videos that play on slideshow like format. So if you were to click play on this ad, it would slide through and cycle like a slideshow. Not a video where you're seeing a continuous ad and movement. It would actually be slides. They're a really good alternative to videos that require they're a good alternative to videos because they require less data. So I always encourage businesses to use these over video, especially when they're trying to reach individuals that are not in high-speed internet areas or simply don't have access. That's one thing that I don't think a lot of us think about is having access to high-speed internet or internet in general. With the pandemic, I think that brought that to light, that not everyone has access to high-speed internet or internet to just get on and be able to be on a Zoom call. So this is a great alternative for those individuals that may be in a slower internet speed area. Um, Another type of ad is a story ad. Stories are again only for mobile use. These are vertical videos that take up the entire screen real estate and allow for a full immersive video experience. So this could be utilized for things like demos, product showcasing, tutorials, all sorts of different things of where you're wanting to maybe demonstrate. I think this video that I've shown is a girl just like scooping up ice cream and eating it. I don't feel like it was maybe an ad. It looks to me like more of like a Snapchat or something someone would send a friend. Um, but it also, in that sense, creates a more personalized experience for the viewer because it looks like it's a friend that's sending you this ad. Um, okay, we've got another couple other questions. Okay, Katie, what's the difference between the slideshow and carousel ad? So the slideshow, let's go back to the carousel ad quick and look at the carousel ad. So the carousel ad is going to be 10, they can be different images or videos that you can click through. So those have their own customized headline. They have their maybe own landing page. If I like were a retail shop, one of the things that I would do is maybe put a showcase of different items. So maybe it's not a collection, it's completely different items that you want to hit with different people, but you want to target maybe just 30 to 40-year-olds in Kearney, Nebraska. So you would put all those different things in that carousel ad so they can slide through them. Now, when we look at the slideshow ad, again, the slideshow ad is actually going to look like a slideshow. So for example, when you see this ad going, you're going to see it going like this. It's going to look like you're literally clicking through a slideshow. So that's kind of a unique feature for it to do that. It's obviously not going to click that fast, but it will look more like a slideshow. So hopefully that makes sense. But yes, they can be similar, but they're a little bit different just in the sense that so they have 3 to 10 images. That's very similar to the collection. They really kind of did this for an alternative to videos. Have some kind of like a movement ad without having the data being used or the high-speed internet having to be used. So that's, I think, the difference between those. But yes, you're right. They are kind of similar. They also don't all have their own, like every image doesn't have their call to action or learn more button. Whereas like a carousel ad would have their own headline, their own description, their own call to action button. Katie, if you have questions on that, let me know in the chat. The next question, is there a way to create an ad that only shows on Instagram stories but not on Facebook? Do you have to post the ad to both? Maggie, I believe you can post just to add to Facebook. They run simultaneously because they're owned by, obviously, they're both owned by Facebook. Honestly, I haven't ran just on Instagram. And I don't know. I mean, you could do that. I just don't know. You're going to get more bang for your buck, I feel like, if you're going to go on both platforms, because we know that the demographics of each platform are completely different. So you're welcome to contact me after and I can help you go through that if you'd like. But I think you can do that. And you should be able to actually take like a story post from Inside Business Manager, post that story to Instagram, and then promote that story. I hope that's kind of what you're asking or what you're thinking if you're wanting to show on like Instagram stories. The next question is, any suggestions on apps to use for editing these videos and putting snippets together? Let's see. So there's a couple apps, and this may be part too. I wanted to base kind of this first one on some of the questions that you all had as attendees to kind of see what maybe the Facebook 102 or 202 or 201 maybe would be as we kind of build this series, but that may be one of them. I always like to use Movie Maker. That's always very easy for me to use. Another great platform is just your phone. Being able to go in and edit the clips and link them together is really nice. I don't know if that helps, Amanda, but I have some other, I can't think of them, other platforms that I would use, but they can literally take, if you want like a bit from the front and a bit from the back and to push them together so they look like one video. I've got an app for that. I can't remember what it's called. But I'm happy to, I don't know, make that part of the next session, I guess. Okay, those are all the questions I'm seeing for now, so we'll keep moving. So we were on stories. The last one is Messenger. This I believe is a newer feature. I have never used the Messenger, but these ads only show up in Facebook's Messenger app if you're on a phone. If you're not, if you're on the web, it will show up in the little Messenger box up top, but it encourages the end user to inquire and send a message. So these come off more personalized than maybe scrolling through a newsfeed where you're just kind of seeing sponsored ads pop up. Sometimes this can feel like more of a personal outreach to consumers, but something to kind of think about if you're kind of going down that road of maybe wanting to try something different. I spelled Messenger wrong in that, I'm sorry. Okay, how to get started. So a couple things. I think getting started with Facebook ads seems very complex if you've never done it before, but it really is simple. So you'll need to navigate to your business page, go into the business manager, and then go into the ads manager. You have to have a business page for this to work. Otherwise, you can't run ads out of it. So that is one key thing to do. The next part, and I always try to give individuals this, even if they have maybe something specific they're wanting to say on an ad, I always try to offer this, but when you're setting up your ad, you'll need to identify a headline. That's typically 25 characters, basis count. So we have to make sometimes sure that that's a really effective headline with the least amount of characters. The other piece is ad description or copy. That's 125 characters. Most of the time we don't have an issue with 125 characters, but it can be problematic if you're really wordy or you may need to cut down on some of those descriptions. And then you're going to identify a button label. Now, a button label has a variety of different calls to action. This is where you would put something like sign up now, request more information, shop now. They have a variety of different button labels. I always pick the one that makes the most sense with the ad copy. Of course, different businesses may do different things, but I always think it's really relevant if we're talking about a product or we're doing a sales objective ad that we put a shop now button label on that ad instead of a contact now. So just making sure that it's consistent with maybe what we would typically want to see with that ad copy. The other thing is picking a URL landing page for you to direct consumers to. So when you pick a URL landing page, that's just what is going to be clicked on and what it's going to take the consumer to. The other piece is determining your audience. Now, I feel like this is where people kind of get lost, or they may say, like, I don't really know who my audience is. That to me is something that we can always find out through looking at your business demographics, maybe who's buying, who's interacting, who has liked your page, those types of things. You can also do like a trial and error. One of the things we haven't talked about, but Facebook does have the capability, is to do A and B testing to see if different ads or different audiences perform better for you. That would be an option if you're really unsure of your audience. But for the most part, like if it's a product, most of the time, those products are maybe applicable to everybody, but you might have a really niche audience that you want to target, and you can do that in the targeting. And like I said at the beginning of the presentation, you can target down to their gender, you can target location, you can target interest, you can target one of the things I used to do actually was target people that had liked certain Facebook pages, because I knew they were more likely to enroll in a program that we offered. So then you would set your ad duration. I love this because you can work on those ads and then delay your start dates. So I would typically utilize these during some slow months to get ready for the holiday season, to start promoting what the holiday specials were, or what holiday offerings we had, or different holiday events. I also just use that on a regular basis because it was easier to tell somebody that I wanted this to start on this date and I want it to end on this date. it's just easier. It automatically will run it at those times, and it will send it in for review on the day you hit submit, which we'll talk about that in a minute. So the other thing is setting a budget. Budget can be tricky, but we're really looking at the overall amount of what you're wanting to spend. I always suggest that, and letting Facebook kind of work through the rest of the budget items. And then the last thing is you will hit submit on your ad. That does not mean your ad is up. Facebook sends it through a review process. And then once it's up, it will send you an email or notification and just let you know that it has been approved. Or if it hasn't been approved, it will tell you maybe why, if there's something wrong with the ad. So review typically takes about, mine usually I don't feel like they take very long, maybe like 12 hours, but I feel like the longest I waited is maybe 24 hours. But that would be in a really abnormal situation where they might have a lot. So that is kind of what I would maybe suggest, is just being patient with them, because sometimes it does take longer. So at this point in the presentation, I'll open it up for questions. If you haven't ever done Facebook ads before, this can seem super intimidating, but I promise it is user intuitive. So if there's any questions, please feel free to drop those in the chat and we can talk through anything. I'm happy to show you different things. If you're interested in like looking at that, I'm happy to do that as well. It looks like we've got a question. Do you think it's better to set the daily spend amount or the total budget? I like to set the total budget. I don't care what we're spending in a day. I am happy to spend $100 in a day if I'm getting 100 quality like people clicking the ad. Now, I'm trying to think of an instance where I maybe would have set, I think I maybe would have set a daily budget. Like I wanted a $10 daily budget. I didn't want to go over $10. But I always still set the total budget because it will even that out. So maybe you spend $6 one day and the next day you spend 14. It will even that out to spend about $10 a day. Oh, Katie, you have a good question. What's one of the best ways to know what your budget should be on an ad? I will tell you, Facebook likes money. So I don't think, you know, they'll say you can run an ad on $10. I think it's just what kind of results you're wanting determine your budget. Obviously, the more you spend, the more exposure you're going to get and the more your ads are going to run. I think it's also important though, when you're looking at in terms of trying to decide what your budget should be on an ad, that you're also looking at how many people you have in that target audience that you've laid out. If we only are targeting Kearney, if we're only targeting 34-year-old men in Kearney, it's going to be really small. And that budget, it may not be applicable to go in and spend $300 on an ad when you're targeting that small of a group. It may work better if you're targeting all of Nebraska with that group. So I think just maybe making a rational decision based on who you're targeting, how many people are in that group, and what that looks like. Okay, I have another question about, we are a nonprofit healthcare system. How would you recommend measuring ROI since we don't have actual tangible items for sale? Amanda, can you drop in the chat, like, tell me what is your healthcare system's idea of success? Is it getting people through the door? Like, give me a little direction on that, and I can maybe tell you like how I would recommend measuring the ROI on that if you do social media. I have worked with several different companies that also kind of have that same issue. But just because I think you're nonprofit doesn't mean that you're not understanding an ROI or don't have a good ROI. You're still wanting a result at the end of the day. So drop in there for me what that result would be. One of the examples I can give you, I work with a physical therapy company, and their ROI, I mean, it's so hard because they have different things. So one thing would be getting more people referred to their clinic. And oftentimes, you know, I think their idea was maybe, well, let's ask them where they heard about us from. And by the time a consumer is asked where they heard about you from, it doesn't matter how quick it is. It can be within 3 seconds of them getting to your page, your ad, your clinic, whatever, your physical location. They lose track of where they even heard about you from. So that's irrelevant. But the way that we tracked that was talking through with them, like, what's the end of the day result? And it's obviously to get more patients, but what does that look like? Is it getting them through the door? Is it creating engagement? So we just kind of tried to nail that down. Okay, Amanda dropped in the chat. We have different goals: job postings, building brand awareness, and promoting services. Okay, so job postings is really great because I feel like that's a measurable thing that we can say, like, is it a one-to-one relationship with the ad that they were shown? So I would go off of that based on, um, let's see. I would go on that based on like filling the position, right? How many applications you get. I mean, there's a couple different things that you can break that down into smaller goals with that. Um, and I don't know, let's see. So are you wanting to, Amanda, measure the return on investment for the ad that's running, maybe to promote a job? What are you measuring that up against? Like actually filling the job? What's that look like for you? When you talk about brand awareness, I think brand awareness is always hard to measure, because you would literally have to go out and survey if people know your brand. But again, the way that I would measure that ROI would probably be through analytics, which Zoe and I talked before this about maybe offering something just on the Facebook analytics on ads. You would be able to see like how many people saw your ad, how many people went in and clicked the ad, and how many like engagements, like if either they shared, they commented, they liked the post. So you would be able to see that. And I think that would be a really good measurement of brand awareness. I also think you could take that a step further and look at like how people are engaging with your brand. And then promoting services. This is another thing that I had talked about with the physical therapy business that I work with, talking with them about how can you help your consumer? I think that's the biggest thing that when we think about social media, people are just wanting to stay relevant. They want to post things because places like BuzzFeed, I can't think what it's called, Buffer, Hootsuite, some of those scheduling platforms will tell you that like if you just post, like they will come. And that's not necessarily true. I think the biggest thing for businesses to be thinking about is how can we actually help the consumer in a way that it's meaningful to them. So when you're thinking about promoting services, think about some of the common questions you're asked. One of the things that the physical therapy company would talk about is like neck pain. Like everybody always has neck or back pain. I have neck or back pain just sitting here right now. So maybe what are some different types of stretches you can do? What are one of the things that they did was putting a video together about how to make an at-home ice pack that doesn't freeze. It's kind of like the gel ones. They were able to do that. So being able to think about that, you're offering a service without giving away your trade secrets, if that makes sense. So you're staying relevant, you're becoming a resource for that consumer, and you're offering something to them that they're needing. And when you're thinking about promoting services and how it relates back to ROI, I would definitely just suggest maybe kind of keeping a measure on, I guess, how many people are coming in relation to when you're promoting that, if that makes sense. Some of those things that you don't have an actual tangible item are very hard, but I think you need to think about what kind of ROI are you expecting? If it's brand awareness, are you expecting more people to know and interact with your page? If it's promoting services, are you expecting to get more consumers? What does that look like? So I hope I answered your question. If not, let me know. We have another question from Katie. If you start a business page, do you have to have a certain amount of followers to do an ad? No, not to my knowledge. You can have a couple people, I think, and you can run an ad. And again, that would be in your business suite that you'd be able to just go in and start an ad. And part of that too would be a great opportunity for you to run like a brand awareness ad. Those are great for like newly startup businesses. I will hang tight here. If you have more questions, drop them in the chat. This has been a really good starting discussion though. I love more of like the discussion presentations. It's not really fun to have someone talk at you, but if we can actually go through and address some like common issues that you're having. And if I can't answer them today, drop them in the chat so we can address those like in another training later on. I know both Zoe and I would appreciate just kind of hearing like what you're dealing with, what kind of issues you're having when you're dealing with Facebook ads. That's always really, really helpful. Okay, I'm going to throw up my contact information. If you guys have questions or concerns, or you want to talk more, or if you want to work with me, you're welcome to do that too. My contact information's up on the screen. But yeah, let me know. I'll pass it back to Zoe.
Yeah, is there any last questions before we wrap up for today's webinar? Don't want to miss any or like have someone typing and then just move on. Oh,
Oh, thank you so much, Abby. That's so sweet. Facebook ads are always really hard. Like I said, that's always changing, and I know that it's complicated to talk through. So thank you for saying that.
Abby, that was sweet. Okay, well, if you want to stop your screen share, I'll pop mine back up. But Alyssa's contact information will be in the training recording send out. So if any questions arise or you run into any issues down the road, you'll always have her contact information, or you can of course reach out to Grow Nebraska and we can help assist you. So thank you, Alyssa, for presenting yet again for Grow Nebraska. And like we mentioned before, we are planning on doing like kind of a Facebook series. So hopefully we can get that lined up and we can dig into Facebook analytics because those also have a lot of information to go over. And thank you to everyone that attended live. And if you're watching the recording, we missed you, but we're happy that you're learning some new stuff about Facebook ads. If you have any questions, you can email me at zoe@grownebraska.org, or you can give our store a call and any of our team members will definitely help you out. Katie, thank you. We do have an upcoming training on June 7th, which is the first Wednesday of the month. Maria Elena Duran will cover how to learn the basic of Google Ads. And then on June 15th, we have Steve Malley of Malley Marketing, who is also a speaker at our most recent Market Tech conference. And he'll cover how to cut fat and maximize ROI, stop lighting your marketing dollars on fire. Those are both live on our website, so be sure to go ahead and get registered. And then, are you ready for Market Tech 2024? So we have landed the plane on dates, which it's going to be February 28th and February 29th. Of course, the 29th will be the main conference, and the 28th will be the pre-conference. We have secured our keynote speaker. I'm not too sure what business he is with, but he is an awesome speaker, and his name is Troy. And then we also have a returning keynote speaker, which is Maria Elena Duran, who does our first Wednesday training of each month. So she'll be there as well doing some breakout sessions. So be sure to check out markettechconference.com for more information, and we'll keep giving you guys some updates on that. And then let us know how we're doing with these trainings by leaving us a Google review. We love having reviews, and it helps the Grow Nebraska Foundation as well as the Nebraska businesses that we support. So feel free to scan the QR code, or you can just Google the Grow Nebraska Foundation and then our Google page will pop up and you can leave it there as well. So I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and thank you again, Alyssa, and we'll see you next webinar.
Awesome. Thanks, Zoe. Thanks all. Bye-bye.